Hey everyone, welcome back to the factory. Today we are diving into my Dark Sailor Princess series with Princess Jupiter. I am using a Frankie Stein Monster Idol for this custom. If you want to see in details how I prepped her, changed her skin tone and rerouted her, I highly suggest you look over the last video I made where I describe in details how I do it. The link for it will be in the art card up above and in the description box below. I always start my dolls with a few coats of Mr. Super Clear Sealant, then I sketch the features lightly with a pencil colored about the same kind of tone as her skin tone, and then I start the process with the pastels. All the materials used are listed in the description box below. I'm really sorry this took so long for me to make her. I had to take a break last year to take care of myself a bit, but don't worry, it has nothing to do with the current world situation. Right now I'm back in business and working on this series more intensely because I want to finish at least the first part, the inner senshis as we call them. Working on Jupiter was a joy. I really love her as a character a whole lot. I wanted her to be dark, yes, because the series leans on that aesthetic. But Makoto is also soft and girly. She's an amazing, caring and strong big sister type and always looking out for the other girls. Her color is green, but it's also pink, and I think this is an amazing combination. So I wanted her to wear that color pink around her eyes and on her face. I think it's very doll-like as well. I really took my time shading and shaping her contour, her blush and some of the base colors, like here on her lips. Sometimes I can go a bit heavy on blushing, and I think I did not go overboard with her here. Even I wonder if I should have maybe added a bit more. What do you think? Either way, after about 3 layers of pastels, I started adding colors with the pencils. The way I do it can seem a bit confusing, but literally it's, how can I say, I start refining the details, going with color blockings and tracing broad details first with lighter colors, and then I'll deepen and add details as I go. Since I work more in layers than on section, I can easily go back and forth from one place to another a couple of times. Here I am adding some pastel to give me a base that I can easily shape to get an idea of how I want the eyebrows. That brush was a bit too big for it, but I ultimately gave her thick brows and I'm kinda loving it. Honestly, when working with a lot of pastels like I do, a kneading eraser is godsend. Playing with colors is what I love the most about creating art. This is why you might see me add a bit of red or purple with my pink, contrasting my blues with yellows or green with oranges and browns, just to add a little pop and a tiny bit more dimension, I guess. I'm following a lot of artists on my various social media pages, from painters to doll customizers to makeup artists, and I always look at color combinations and how things are shaded, etc. It's really eye-opening. Then, after you've found a lot of things that you like, you might want to start forming ideas in your head, and what's left then is to experiment. I feel like each new face-up brings me a little bit closer to the best I can do. Of course, I will constantly evolve, we will all do, but still I find it comforting. In a world with so much people showing what they can do and what they love, which we can all appreciate, you want to feel like you belong too. And that makes me proud of myself, and this is what matters most. It does matter the most, I mean, love yourself and love what you do. We are going through a collective trauma right now. It's hard for everyone. Self-care is important, details are important. We are all vetted and we all matter, my friends. Oh wow, this went a bit off topic, did it? Shall we go back to Jupiter now? Yes, of course, let's go. And I don't know for you guys, but black lipstick, it's something I really love in general. And I wanted at first to make all my dolls with black lipstick, but yeah, maybe not, we'll see. The pencil you are seeing me use here and blend a bit with my brushes is actually a pencil of Pastel by Derwent. It's really concentrated and very pigmented, so I'm using it to deepen a bit, as it's a little easier to apply in really small spaces than the big pastel. I still think I should have had even more blush. I just love doing eyebrows. I define them with pencils, working on a gradient that is darker at the tails. At the end of the face, I know I will add a bit more texture with paint too, and it will tie everything up. Well, hopefully it will. So yes, like I said, a lot of back and forth. Maybe I should edit it down a bit more next time. Anyways, you see me building contrast around here and there. I'm also using some pure white to start bringing highlights. One of my favorite places to do so is the inner eye corner. It gives such a nice dimension, and it's something you often see in makeup artistry too. I drew the Jupiter planet symbol on her forehead with pencils first, but I will go over it with metallic paint eventually. Yes, a bit more blush, a bit more, just to make sure everything is still well pigmented, sharp and crisp. Then I jumped in with paint, trying out a new thing for the first time. I mixed on my hand, because who needs a palette, a bit of water, watercolor pencils pigment, so basically watercolor paint, and a tiny bit of watered down opaque white paint to do some strokes in her irises. That was a lot. The aim is to build texture and dimension. Of course, also a tiny bit of green lines to add some texture on their lips. And then I'm going in with pure, well, diluted white paint to brighten some areas, do some catch lights and all. I think this step especially is what brings my dolls to life. So it's also one of my favorite steps. You see me putting the extra paint on the brush on the back of my hands just to make sure I don't have too much on my tiny teeny little brush, because I don't want the lines to be too thick or too opaque. When I'm done with the watered down white paint, I do the same with watered down black paint just to add a little bit more of crispness, of darkness to some teeny tiny areas like the eyelashes, maybe around the lips because hers are black, and sometimes even in the eyebrows. And at last, a little bit of metallic green. Now her hairstyling. I use 100% acrylic yarn for her, and it has been rerouted and glued inside her head. The yarn I use is found locally, but it's pretty similar to Walmart's Red Heart brand. At first I thought about adding wefts to add length and thickness, but I kinda like what's going on there. To give it a bit more shape though, and it's a bit hard to see. I added a small ball of yarn fluff, same color as her hair, at the base of the ponytails, just to add volume only at this spot. I sew it in place. I had reserved a portion of the hair on top to hide the stitches. Before working on her bangs, I carefully scraped tiny bits of paint and MSC that had gone onto the hair. I really like the poofy shape I tried with the bangs all rolled around the pencil, so I decided I was gonna go with that. First I needed to add a bit of mousse or hairspray, so I gently covered her face before adding the hair product on. Then I cut the bangs to a more manageable length and I started rolling them. I used some sewing pins to keep it in place just because I could not find my hairpins, but they served their purpose. I would then sew the bangs in place. Then after sewing the bangs, I decided to add some cute little pink flowers to her hair and really liked it. Then I used the ever trustworthy heated metal chopstick technique to add some texture to her lovely hair. Yup, loving it a lot. Look at that. I really am in love with this girl. I added these earrings last minute with some pins. They're actually sections cut from a necklace. Her face was beautifully blushed, so I had to do the same thing with her body. I had sprayed some freckles a little bit all over the place with a little bit of watercolor paint. I wanted to go for overall a nice, warm and natural finish. Now it's time to play with Miss Mannequin over here, which I think is Laguna Blue, and make Jupiter a nice gown. I really don't have much knowledge of sewing, but that's how I wiggled this one out. I apologize in advance if some mistakes make some folk cringe, but I really am doing my best. The base here is a short tube dress with short sleeves, leaving the shoulders exposed. Then I decided to use that gorgeous green tulle with some floral embroidery on it to serve as the skirt. The plan is to gather it and sew it on the base. This can go wrong, yes? No? Well, you'll see a bit later. I have a lot of nice ribbons and decorative laces, and most of them were donated by friends. Thank you so much for it. The next step was shoes, and yes, I picked up high boots because Jupiter, she's that badass and fearless. Stiletto heels are cute, but these are comfy and beautiful. I gave them a first coat of black like my soul, and then I proceeded to add some colored details. I varnished them with matte Mod Podge and voila, they're done. I had to warm the shoes quite a bit to put them on without scraping the paint job, but it went on like a glove. I also made her panties because, well, she's not going out commando. The first pair of gloves I made had a cute pink gradient that I painted on some lace, but I ended up not liking them because, well, too distracting. I made her new ones in black and made them more sleek. I also took a hot minute to go over the joints with a Sharpie. The hands are painted in black and it tends to rub off around the moving bits. Remember when I said this could not go wrong? Well, I did not take into account the thickness of the tulle under the base dress and it ended up making such a weird shape around her torso, and lacing it tightly on her back didn't seem to help either. So last minute after deliberating, I decided to make her a corset. This is craft foam. I just painted it black and varnished it with matte Mod Podge. It really looks like a very convincing fake leather. Then I used some thread to add some details to it, like fake seams. When it was done, I could lace it on her back using some beautiful green embroidery thread. And this, my friends, complete this custom. I had an amazing time making her, so let's go look at the end result together. So, what do you think of Jupiter? Please let me know in the comments below. Mars and Venus are already started. Which one would you like to see first? Also, I'm thinking of maybe hosting my first ever giveaway when both my YouTube and Instagram will go over 1K followers. If you are not subscribed to either of these, please give it a thought. I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, stay safe.